Hey YouTube, it's the test lead, and today we're going to talk about how you can break into the QA manual or automation fields this year. First off, this video is sponsored by Careerists, but more on them later. If you're new to my channel, please feel free to subscribe. I make content to help you on your QA manual or automation journey. Now back to the video. So here's the situation. This is your year. You told everybody that you know that this year you're going to break into the QA space. Once you finish telling all of them, you think to yourself, wait, hold on, how do I actually break into the QA space? I can't just put on a VR set and boom, I'm in a QA space. It doesn't really work like that, not yet at least. This video will be a guide to help you make that dream come true. This video will go over the following topics: a realistic timeline. What type of QA do you want to be? How do you plan to learn and acquire information to be a QA? And finally, how do you apply for jobs? So we're going to start with having a realistic timeline. I'm probably going to lose a lot of viewers right after this, but I feel we should start with it because it's the most important. Any company, course, school that promises you can go from knowing nothing about QA to being a QA master with a QA job in less than a month, it's probably a scam. They see that you're desperate to enter the space and they're trying to take advantage of you. So please watch out for this. Realistically, it's going to take time for you to learn information, apply for jobs, and then finally get your first job. So be patient and be prepared for this. Your timeline can also vary depending on what type of QA you want to be, whether it's automation or manual. In short, because automated QA engineers have to learn code, that usually takes longer to actually get the skill set for. Compared to manual QA, you don't have to know any code. But as I said, we'll touch more on that later. Next, don't be discouraged about other people's timelines compared to yours. It may take one person only 2 months to learn the required information and to develop the skill set, and then a month later they have a job in the space because it's a hot job market, jobs are mass hiring, and there's a lower barrier of entry for jobs at that time. Another person, it may take them 7 to 8 months to learn the required skill set, and another 3 or 4 months after that to actually land the job. Each person wants to be a QA engineer, but a lot of it's just timing and your own learning curve. So don't be discouraged because it's taking you just a little bit longer than someone else that you know to get a job in a QA space. Each person's path is completely different. But realistically, depending on your education route, within a year, you should be able to land your first QA job. Because at first, it might feel like a hard industry to get into, and once you are in it, it opens paths for other fields in this industry. But the hardest part is just getting your foot in the door. Next up, what type of QA engineer do you want to be? High level, there are 2 main types of QA engineers and analysts. There are manual testers and automation testers. Going back to our timelines, a manual tester has a lower barrier of entry, so might be able to find a job faster, whereas an automation engineer may have a higher potential ceiling salary-wise. So they both have their pros and cons. The best part is, once you pick to be a manual QA or a automation, you can still go the other path later on. You're not stuck in one role, especially because a lot of the core testing and principles overlap between both roles. So don't think to yourself, oh, I'm a manual QA today, I'm stuck for this for life, I can never go to the other side of being an automation engineer. And don't think because you're an automation engineer, like, I'm not a good fit here, I'm stuck here. No, you can still go back to be a manual QA. Some job roles will even have you doing stuff from both manual and automation, even though your role only says one of them. That's how closely related the core skill set is. There is no one that's better than the other one. You have to just find which is a better fit for you. And maybe you just develop both skill sets, and depending on what job you work for, you just go to that role. Both roles have their pros and cons, which is why both are needed in the world. Manual testers. This role does not require any programming knowledge, but knowing some can help. In manual testing, the tester confirms that all the essential features or parts of an application or software worked as expected. This is done through the process of executing test cases from a test plan in a manual manner. By manually testing, that means you're physically carrying out the tests. So if the test case says, step 1, log into this website, and then click on this button, you're going to manually go to your computer, log onto that website, type the URL in a browser, use your mouse and keyboard, and click on that button. So you're manually walking through the steps as a regular person who's using the application would. Now for automation testers. This part requires code because you're going to automate the testing. By automate, we're going to write code to create a script to do the testing for us. You will need to know a programming language, preferably an object-oriented programming language such as Python or Java. In automation testing, a tester will use an automation tool and a programming language to write test scripts to make sure an application or software is working as expected. These test scripts can carry out testing faster than a manual person could. These tests can also be started at the push of a button and don't require supervision, freeing up resources to do other testing. And you might be thinking, why don't we just automate everything? 1, because it's more expensive, and 2, it takes longer to do. If we want to test a login page one time, we're going to just manually test that because it takes 5 minutes to log into a page, enter the passwords, and see what we expect. To do that through automation, it's a lot more steps. I have to set up an automation environment. I have to find the elements on the page and then add those to my test script. Then I have to actually write the test script. I have to run it to make sure it does everything correctly. I have to make sure no elements change on the page. All of that's going to take longer than 5 minutes. But if this is a test that we're going to repeat over and over, then I'll invest the time and energy to actually write a script for it. That's why both have their place in the QA world. Our next topic, how do you plan to learn the required information and skill set to be a QA engineer? This will be the most important part of your journey. There are numerous ways to actually learn the skill set. I'm not going to lie to you and say one is a lot better than the other. It all depends on a few criteria for you. First, your budget, your free time allocation, your learning style, your discipline, and your actual time window for when you want a job by. We have 3 realistic ways of learning: through boot camps, being self-taught, or going to a university. First, let's talk about boot camps. Boot camps give you structured learning. They usually have a curriculum and range in length, but usually they're a couple of months. Some are in person, some are online, some are pre-recorded lessons, some are live lessons, so you can see what best fits you and your learning style and schedule. For me, the main benefits I feel you get from a boot camp is the live feedback from an instructor, as well as the networking aspect to help you get a job later on. Some even offer money-back guarantees if they can't help you find a job within a certain time frame, which is pretty cool. An example of a reputable boot camp is the sponsor of today's video, Careerist. I know how hard it is to find a well-paying job, but some platforms make this process easier for you. Meet Careerist.com, an online learning platform. Even if you don't have any experience in tech, a technical background, or a technical education, Careerist will teach you everything you need to know and help you land a well-paid job in one of the happiest professions in the US, software testing, also known as QA, which is quality assurance. Careerist graduates are already working in 1,000 plus companies and in 40 plus states. They suggest that you start with their basic course, the manual QA one. You don't need a background in tech to take it, as the course material is simple and not complicated. Honestly, anyone can do it. Of these previously mentioned jobs, 30% plus are remote, and salaries for Careerist graduates are around $65K to $100K. That's in US dollars. Careerist also offers other courses such as sales engineering, UX design, and tech support, for which you also don't need a tech background for. Their students also get access to a simplified job search system, the job application service. It finds relevant job openings and accelerates the job application process by up to 5 times. So as you can see from everything I just said, Careerist is a great place for you to start your career in tech. Some of their biggest selling points are you'll attend live classes. Also, if you can't make the live classes, you can watch the recordings later on your time. You get one-to-one guidance from a personal mentor. They have an internship so you can practice what you learned. And finally, support at all stages of your journey until your big victory. And for Careerist graduates, the average time it takes to get a job in tech is about 2 to 4 months if you follow the job search instructions. So don't miss out on this opportunity to start earning between $65 and $100K in just a few months' time. And a bonus for you guys for supporting my channel, I worked out a 10% discount if you follow the link in the description for any course of your choosing on that website. So just follow the link and you can get 10% off the course price. So thank you Careerist for sponsoring today's video. Now back to our next way of learning the required information, you can be self-taught. Going the self-taught route requires a lot of discipline. But with the self-taught route, you create your own schedule. If you want to do 2 hours a day, an hour a day, 20 hours on a weekend, that's all up to you. You can also cater to your personal learning style. If you go the self-taught route, you can find very affordable resources, either free on YouTube. I make tons of videos to help you out. Or you can buy courses for not that much money. They have a lot of courses on like Udemy and Skillshare and websites like that. Often these courses go on sale during the holidays. So if it's around the holiday season when you're buying this, make sure you check the websites to see if they have any sales going on. So that said, there's a lot of free and low-cost information. But if you go the self-taught route, it's up to you to find it all and make your own course based on that. If you go the self-taught route, I'll make a future video about how you can create your own curriculum. So make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can find out about that. Because I know honestly, some of you can't afford the other routes. So self-taught is your only way. And I don't want you making excuses for not joining the QA space. If you do go the self-taught route, my main tip would be don't go more than 3 days without spending time on your journey, especially in the beginning. Often 3 days off turns into a week off, turns into a month off, and then you forget everything you just learned. So that's why I say you gotta be very disciplined with the self-taught route. Try to stay as consistent as possible if this is your choice. And last but not least, universities. I'll never knock universities because I have a university degree for undergrad and graduates. So I'm not anti-universities or anti-colleges. This is probably one of the most traditional ways, especially if you want to go the automation route and want to learn how to code. Most universities require 2 to 4 years of classwork in order to get a diploma. You can research some affordable online universities, which may save you some money and may work around your schedule a lot better than traditional in-person universities. Just make sure it's reputable. I don't want you getting scammed by some fly-by-night college that doesn't really exist. So do your research. For example, my undergrad, I did full in-person. Wonderful experience. I was younger with a lot more free time. But with my master's, I did that online with Georgia Tech, which is a reputable school with a top-ranked computer science program. So I'm still getting a full programming degree, just that I'm doing it on my time. I don't have the time to physically go to class, especially because the classes are in Georgia and I live in New York. So finding an online program that fit me and my schedule was very important for me. It's also a lot more affordable than the traditional in-person classes. I have a separate video about going the online college route. So that's another reason to subscribe for me. I have a lot of stories and things like that. A lot of knowledge, a lot of experiences, my long tech career. So please subscribe. Back on topic though. One of the other main benefits of getting a university degree is that some traditional jobs still require it. Some won't even look at your resume if you don't have a degree on it. A lot of the new startups don't really care, but like some traditional brick and mortar 50-year companies, some still want that. At least to get your foot in the door. Once you have your foot in the door in this space, they don't care how you learn the information, they just care that you know the information. And now the part that we hate the most, how do you apply for jobs? This is usually the most frustrating and discouraging part, but I will try to make it as straightforward as possible. Step 1, you want to build your resume. You want a clean professional resume. You can Google some templates on how your resume should look. I even have some videos that you can search on YouTube about helping you make your resume and cover letters for that matter. Any boot camps, universities, or courses that you took, you want to add to your resume. Every little bit might help you out. Make sure you have QA buzzwords in your resume such as tester and QA. And mention any testing tools or software that you're familiar with. If you have any previous roles that overlap the QA job role, feel free to mention them. For example, if you had to work in a team in a previous job or had a job that required patience, you want to mention it because you'll most likely be doing the same in your new job. You have demonstrated that you can do so. Another thing is, be prepared to alter your resume slightly depending on what job you're applying for. Some jobs may have certain specifications in their description, so you want to make sure you had that on your resume and have that listed first. So if this job says they want this testing tool, make sure that testing tool is listed first on your resume. Whereas this other job might require something else first, just modify it for the job you're applying for. Another thing, if a job requires a cover letter, don't just skip that job application. Write a cover letter. Stop being lazy. Many people see the cover letter requirements and that job gets less people applying for it. That gives you a better opportunity of getting that job. When you're first starting out, any opportunity is a good opportunity. Take advantage of it. Next, update your LinkedIn. You should have a professional LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is free to use and should be your favorite networking application during your journey. Your profile on LinkedIn should contain everything that your resume did, especially the keywords. Many recruiters and HR managers just search for keywords on LinkedIn and your profile is going to pop up. Job done for you. You can also reach out to recruiters yourself on LinkedIn. The worst they can say is no and turn you down, but at least you tried. Feel free to reach out to other people in the QA space also on this platform. Be genuine and ask them about their journey and possible tips and advice for you. They may have a job opening in their company that they can connect you with now or down the road, so it never hurts to build a connection. But just make sure your approach is genuine. Don't just slide in a DM and say, hey, is your job hiring? When people say that to me on LinkedIn, I look at it and don't ever reply. That's just obvious that you're using them for a connection. Be genuine. Now, finding jobs to apply for. Now that everything is set up, let's start applying to jobs. The first thing when applying to jobs, and in life really, get over your fear of rejection. You're gonna get rejected. I guarantee it. But the key is, don't let it discourage you. I want you to mass apply for jobs. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially when it's your first job. Statistically, the first job you get in the tech space won't be the job that you're at 10 years from now, so don't be scared that you're going to commit to the wrong place. Your main goal on this journey is just getting your foot in the door and getting some experience. Once you have experience, it is so easy to get another job after that. Once you have any experience on your LinkedIn profile, you'll have recruiters reaching out to you all the time because you have proven experience in the field now. You have a company that can vouch for you. Apply to jobs as often as possible. It's a new day, new jobs to apply to. Get used to going on interviews. I know a lot of people are introverts in the tech space, but get used to talking to people. The more interviews that you go on, the more practice you get with talking to people, the easier it becomes and the less anxious you are. It's all a numbers game, but the more practice that you get, the better. Let's say you have a 10% chance of getting a job, you gotta apply to at least 10 jobs to hear back from one. So the more you apply to, the better. Don't limit yourself. I know this video is a lot longer than some of my other videos, but I feel I had a lot of information that'll be helpful for you. I'll have a course coming out for manual QA later this year, hopefully around March. And then further down the road, maybe like May, have an automation course because you keep asking me for courses. So I'm gonna finally put some time aside and start working on that now to have it out this year. If you got any benefit at all from this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos, please leave them below. Interact in the comments. I see people networking all the time in the comments, so don't be scared to talk to people. If you need help in your QA journey, check out my book, QA Must Know Vocabulary, and most importantly, don't forget to learn something new today.